Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Hold the Ball here from Pure Rugby League. I'm here with two very special guests, Roo and Hammee. Before I get into it, I suppose I'll start off with Roo first. Roo, how are you going and what's been happening?
Yeah, going well. Thanks, mate. Thanks so much for having us on again. Been very busy with work and life and all that sort of thing. But, mate, I'll tell you, I'm so excited about this weekend. Magic Round is one of the highlights of the NRL calendar, especially for me being from Brisbane. Carnival atmosphere all around the town. There's a buzz around the River City. So can't wait to be there and to catch up with you.
Absolutely. And Hammee, how have you been and what's been happening?
Yeah, mate, I've been pretty good. Like Rob, just, living life, getting through work and what have you. Dad's been a little bit crook, which I've spoken about on our show. I won't bore people with that here. As Rob said, mate, really excited about this weekend. Magic Round. This will be, the third one I think we've done with a fan event. We've got a massive fan event happening at the Lord Alfred Hotel, which you'll be there for as well, mate. So we encourage everyone who's a Warriors fan who's going to be in Brisbane this weekend to come along to the Lord Alfred Hotel, 12 o'clock on Saturday, catch up with Arpai, catch up with us. Warriors NRL Fanatics are going to be there. We've got some very special guests coming as well, ex-players, and a lot of the Warriors management are going to be there as well. So, yeah, going to be a great day. But, mate, really appreciate you having us on. Always good to chat Warriors footy with you.
No, the pleasure is mine, and I suppose in saying that as well, obviously a positive and well wishes as well to your father there, Hammee.
Thanks, bro. Thanks, bro.
All right, so say that, howdy everyone. Hope you guys are well. Please feel free to chat away. But now we're going to get straight into it. So the random match for you guys today. The random match was in 1998 on the 7th of June in Ericsson Stadium in Auckland, round 14. It was against the Penrith Panthers. Warriors won 15 points to 14, and the tries were to Gene Ngamu as well as Aaron Whitaker. Conversions was Gene Ngamu 3 as well as the field goal there. Do you guys remember that game?
I don't. I reckon he does.
I remember it. To be honest, mate, I didn't actually watch this one because I was away camping, because this was like a mid-season game, and we always used to go camping mid-year up in the Sunshine Coast. But I remember the days where you used to have to get the results from the paper. Yeah. You'd have to look before the results were everywhere electronically. But I remember that one. Yeah, it was 1998. It was a really sort of mixed year, first year back after the Super League war, and Penrith weren't too crash hot that year, but we got the job done that night. And Aaron Whitaker playing a key role there. That was his first and only try for the Warriors that night as well.
Oh, there you go.
Look at him. He just pulls it out of his ass. He does.
No, I legitimately remember it.
I know, but how you remember that? And it's like, oh yeah, because I was camping that weekend. Who remembers on the 7th of June of 1998? Come on.
Well, no, you know me, I have a bit of a photographic memory for this kind of thing.
I do know you, yes. Bloody
classic.
Yeah.
I unfortunately can't help you both because I was 5 years old turning 6.
I was in grade 12. Yeah, I was probably studying for my exams, my mid-year exams. So I was on this party. Gene Ngamu had a night out. Try 3 goals and an all-important field goal. Good player, Gene Ngamu.
Mate, I probably was doing fatherly duties because I would have had 3 kids back then, and Kane, who's now 26, would have only been he would have just turned 1. So yeah, that's I would have been doing fatherly stuff, I reckon.
That's it. We have a bit of a joke here from Taylor Brooks. Geez, you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel with these two. No hippers, HB. No joke. No, just joking. There you go. So just put it.
Thank you.
Cheers,
right, so we're going to get straight into the New South Wales Cup. Obviously, the Warriors winning that game there, 36 points to 22. I'm not sure if you guys sort of caught on to it, but I suppose I'll start off with you, Roo. What were your thoughts on the game if you did?
Yeah, I didn't actually see the game. I saw the result. I kind of saw the end of it. Another strong performance. They've been going great. The New South Wales Cup always good to have the next level down firing, and that's a good win, especially in the conditions. I think the conditions weren't as bad during the New South Wales Cup game, but they seem to sort of get progressively worse in first grade. But great to see those boys playing well. Ronnie Volkman seems to be playing really well in reserve grade this year on New South Wales Cup, so that's really good sign for like depth in the halves as well.
Awesome, and yourself, Hammee, what were your thoughts on the game?
Mate, I'm just really impressed with the way that this side's coming about. Slade Griffin's done a really good job putting this team together week in, week out. And they get interrupted because they get guys, coming back in late changes each week, and he's got to adjust his team sheet. But it just goes to show how everyone within the Warriors organisation this year has got that next man up mentality. They talk about it in first grade, but obviously it's going through that New South Wales Cup side as well. Mate, the Warriors are leading the comp in New South Wales Cup. We're sitting on top of the table, equal with, I think, the Bears, and I think there's one other team on 14 points as well. But, mate, yeah, they're going gangbusters. Didn't see the game, but did see the result. Very, very impressed with how our younger grades are going.
Awesome, mate. Yeah, exactly. I agree with you guys. And I thought it was a really good game there. And I like how we keep composed and how we just kept control of the game, no matter what the Roosters sort of throw away. So I really like that as well. So we're just going to shift onto the NRL here, straight onto the Warriors game against the Roosters. Really there. Hammer, if you don't mind, what were your sort of, I suppose, summaries before we get into, I suppose, the player chats as well as the, round 10 squad?
Mate, shocking conditions. But in saying that, the Roosters played in the exact same conditions that we did. We complain, or we could say that we only had a 5-day turnaround. The Roosters also had a 5-day turnaround. So, look, we just didn't. One thing that I noticed in this game was the Roosters nailed the opportunities that they got. They didn't get very many opportunities to score, but the two that they did, they made a bird of it and got the points. Whereas, we had Jackson Ford was held up over the line. Jackson Ford dropped the ball over the line when it was ripped out by Joey Manu. We had Josh Curran go close twice, running off Sean Johnson. He went close again, chasing through a Dylan Walker kick. So for the Warriors, it's we didn't ice the opportunities that we had. And as a result, the game kind of just got away from us. I also thought that the Roosters did better in their attack. They made plenty of yardage in their attack. Defensively, we held them out. They only managed to score the 2 tries, but they were making a lot of yardage in their sets, whereas the Warriors weren't able to do that. We were coming off our line quite a bit. We were kicking from within our half quite a bit as well. So the Roosters won that defensive battle, I thought, by putting defensive pressure on our attack. And I think that was probably the big factor in why we didn't manage to get any points in this game.
Yeah. And Roo, your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, pretty much what Hammer said. Look, it was kind of evident from the very first set of the game that the Roosters were dominating yardage, and they just kept that up. And it's been a common theme throughout the season that we seem to lose the yardage battle early, but they kept it up all game, and they were just surging upfield. We were struggling, again, relying heavily on the back three for yardage as well as the centres. I think we can learn a lot from the way that the Roosters played that game, and that they were composed. And as Hammer said, like, they had only a couple of opportunities in that second half. Like, we were camped on their line for the first part of that second half, and we just they held us out. I think we got a bit frustrated, and they got just like 1 or 2 opportunities up the other end, and they were composed enough to ice that and that chance. And I think it came on the back of a little bit of frustration from us from not getting a penalty or not getting a sin bin and that sort of thing. And they just capitalized on that. And they had sort of done what we've been doing earlier in the year, and what people have been what we've been praising us for is, like, you hold the opposition out, and then when you get the chance, you strike. It's like a demoralizing blow. And I think by the time that happened and they got out to like a 14-0 lead, we started playing a little bit of catch-up footy, and in those conditions, it was never really going to happen. But we had more than enough ball to win that game, and unfortunately, we just didn't take our opportunities.
True.
Yeah, I agree, and I suppose you guys have both summarised it, but I guess for mine, I'll just quickly touch on it. Yeah, the fact that we had a good ball on, virtually on their trial line, and we weren't able to execute it. I suppose any other day we probably would, but it just didn't happen. It just didn't pan out that way. Which I thought was surprising. Again, credit to the Roosters and their defense there. But I suppose I'm definitely just reflecting back on it. We could have, and we didn't. And I suppose that's just something the boys will work on heading into this weekend. So I suppose that's just my summary of the game. I have a few select players here, and I'm going to touch on Adam Fanor-Blake first as well. I guess over to you first, Roo. but I hear just some of his stats there. But what were your thoughts on Adam Blake in the game? Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was great. He's continued on from where he left off against the Storm. That big game he had on Anzac Day. I mean, look at that, like 75 minutes, 194 run meters. And of course, as we expect from him, the tackle breaks, 34 tackles, which is fantastic as well. High work rate, post contact meters. So I mean, he certainly did everything he could to put us in that position to win. And that's what you expect from a premier front rower as well.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And your thoughts there, Hammer?
Yeah, like Rob said, he's kind of leading the way for us. He's really the only real starting front rower that we've got. They moved the side around a little bit this week. They moved Nick Corey into the front row and pushed AFB back to lock, but it's still that middle forward rotation or that middle forward position. Without Mitch Barnett being there and then without Tohu being there, he's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders, but he just seems to it doesn't faze him. He just seems to keep getting better and better with every single game, and he is one of the premier front rowers in the game. And we talk about his stats like the 194 meters and the 34 tackles. The impressive thing for me was the 75 minutes in those conditions where forwards would be getting tired legs. Doing those hard yards in the middle of the field on like a rain-soaked ground, that to play 75 minutes in the middle there was absolutely outstanding, I thought.
Yeah, agreed. Credit to him. I suppose that the question then is, do we see, I suppose, more minutes for Adam Blake, or do you think it was just more so just for that particular game there where we see him play 75? I suppose your thoughts there, Hammer, again.
You probably have to look at the bench, mate. We really only had Tom Arley as the only middle forward on the bench, and Arley played 56 minutes in this game as well. So, Freddie Lussick was on the bench. He didn't get any game time whatsoever. So we really only used a 3-man bench. And then the other two were Sifakula, who was making his debut. So you knew he wasn't going to be playing long minutes, although he did play 37, which is a good stint for a debutant playing in the forwards. And then Sirinen with 23 minutes. He's only going to play on an edge or fill a hole somewhere like that. So, yeah, this week we'll probably get to a bit later on. I don't know. Maybe Adam keeps playing the big minutes because we are only carrying the one middle forward on the bench. In the words of the great man, it's hard to say. We'll just have to wait and see.
Next year, for you here, Roo, Sean Johnson, what were your thoughts on him in his game there? And I just quickly want to add, I've seen some people as well say that he probably should have ran more. I personally disagree. I thought he did what he could, but in saying that, you may agree with them. What were your thoughts on his game overall? And there's the stats there.
Look, he did everything he could to put us in a position to win. And I mean, his kicking game was really good in the conditions. There's probably there's only one kick that went over the dead ball line. We almost got a couple of tries out of it. There was one to Jackson Ford we almost got, and then there was one where Dallin just got his fingertips on it. He did everything he could. I mean, it was terrible conditions. I thought he was very good considering.
Yeah. We just have here Wade Egan. I suppose I'll give this over to you here, Hammer. What were your thoughts in this game, and obviously in context, coming back from an injury as well?
Well, coming back from HIA, played the full 80 minutes in this one. There was a moment in that game where he did cop a knock across the head from Satili Tupanua. That was let go by the referees because he was complaining of a leg injury at the time. So they looked at that and still didn't give a penalty. So luckily he didn't cop a HIA in this game. 86 metres, not a hell of a lot of metres, I guess. But in the scheme of things, when you look at the weather conditions and that's pretty good thing. It's a 45 tackles for me. He gets through a mountain of work in the middle. He offers us a different point of difference in attack as well, which we've missed in the past couple of weeks with him not playing. Always great to have our hooker back. He's one of the unsung heroes of the side and a really underrated player in the comp too.
Yeah, absolutely agree, and I'm glad he's back in the squad again. In saying that, over to you, Roo. Jackson Ford. What did you make of his game?
Oh man, I'm a real big fan of this guy. If you told me that before the season started when they announced his signing, you probably don't want to know what our reaction was. Jackson who, but mate, this guy's been fantastic this year. As we said, he could be the modern day Michael Luck. Gets through a mountain of work, 106 meters, 43 tackles. Still has a couple of set restarts or penalties in his game, but I love him out on edge. He always looks dangerous. He almost got a couple of tries. So he was really threatening out on that edge. I love what he's doing, and hopefully it continues on a dry track at Suncorp this Saturday afternoon.
He's starting to get he's got a really good combination going with Sean Johnson too. Sean. It's almost like the Sean Johnson Britton Nakora combination that Sean had back at Cronulla. Jacko Ford's been really, really good for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely agree. Big fan of Jackson Ford. And last but not least, and again, I suppose if there's any other players I've missed out on, let me know. But thoughts on Josh Curran, Hamath, yourself?
Yeah, long minutes. Didn't get a lot of opportunity with the ball. Only had the 40 run meters. Did go close a couple of times off Sean Johnson passes where he was just brought down short of the line on two. He did chase through a kick that was, I think it went dead off Tedesco at the time. He put pressure on Tedesco. Look, Josh is an out-and-out competitor. 41 tackles, really, really impressive in defence. And going back to the bench this week, he'll be that guy that sparks a bit of energy and intensity when he comes on the field against the Panthers this week. But really impressed with how Josh is going.
Absolutely, and I just want to quickly just touch on that as well. There was that passage of play. I'm not sure who it was that kicked the ball, but there was a bit of a chase there, a bit of a scramble.
Yeah.
Obviously, see Josh Curran there being the player to dive on that ball and obviously diffuse the situation. But like you said, he's a
massive effort,
and I cannot wait to see what he brings this week. All right, guys. So this week, obviously, the squad has been named. I'm not going to have the squad up there on the screen for you guys, there, unfortunately. But what are your thoughts, I suppose, on overall selection? And if you want me to, I can name the players too. But I suppose starting with you there, Roo, what are your thoughts on the squad selection this week?
I was very happy to see Tohu named. I think, we really missed him. He adds so much to our team. And another point in attack, a ball playing forward, can play as a prop or as a lock, ball playing lock. Chimes in as another playmaker. So I was really excited to see him play. Hopefully he has come good from that injury. They said 1 to 2 weeks. So hopefully he does run out on Saturday afternoon. Great to see Chance back as well. It was touch and go because I think Saturday was the 11th day because we had 3 games in 11 days. And I think he must have got special dispensation from the NRL to play. I think Hammer and I were talking about that, but regardless, great to see him back. Dallin did a good job last week. Did a really good job at fullback, filling in. But I prefer to have Dallin on the wing. Chance back at fullback. He's been so good this year, safe as houses. Other than that, it was Walker and SJ in the halves I think is fine for now. But I definitely prefer to have Walker's impact on the bench when we do get another 5'8" candidate come back, whether it be Ronnie Volkman gets a game or when Tamari Martin comes back in round 15.
Yeah, and I suppose for yourself there, Hammer, what are your thoughts on the squad?
Yeah, like as Rob said, really happy to see Chance named. Really happy to see Tohu named, although I'm led to believe that Tohu's going to be have to pass a fitness test on Saturday before he does actually take the field. I agree with everything that Rob said around Dylan Walker too. I'd much prefer, especially now that we haven't got Jazz through injury, I'd much prefer to have Dylan Walker coming off the bench and bringing that impact and that intensity and that energy that he brings at the 20th minute mark when he was coming on. I thought that might happen this week. I thought the Dylan Walker at 6 experiment might have ended and we might have seen Ronnie Volkman come in, but it hasn't happened. I trust in Webby. Webby knows what's going on. I'm not going to second guess his selections. Have seen some vision of Luke Metcalf at training, so hopefully he's not too far away. Maybe within the next week or so, he might be in New South Wales Cup. I've heard that Braden Viliami's not far away either. They were saying that he could have been named in this game. I'm happy with the Montoya-Pompey centre combination at the moment. I've always been a critical of Pompey. He just has that lackadaisical, no interest look about him. But he's getting the job done in the past couple of weeks. And defensively, he's been very, very good against big centres over the past few rounds. So, and he will probably be marking up on Stephen Crichton, I would say, in this game. So another big week for Pompey defensively, because we know Crichton does know how to find a line. But yeah, mate, overall, I'm pretty happy with the side that's named. And good to see that young Sifakula kept his spot on the bench as well. So he'll play his second NRL game this week coming off the bench.
That was very good. And you sort of touched them as well, right? Marcelo Montoya as well. I suppose, Roo, first, what are your thoughts on him being re-signed with the Warriors?
Yeah, fantastic. He's gives 120% every game. I love his energy, his aggression. I love the way he comes out of the line, almost Francis Melly-like, putting on those blindside hits, whether it's a wing or centre. He's another one that when we signed him like a couple of years ago, we're sort of thinking, why would we bother signing this guy? He was sort of playing reserve in and out of first grade at the Bulldogs, but he obviously loves the club. He apparently loves living in Auckland as well, settled in there. So it's great to see him secure his future with the club. Couldn't be happier. And how good for him to play 100 games this weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose, for yourself, Hammer, what are your thoughts on that signing?
Yeah, really happy with the signing. He's the kind of guy, as Rob said, he goes 100 mile an hour in everything that he does. Could you imagine if he was the size of Semi Radradra or Mike Acevo or Michele Ravalawa, how damaging he would be, because he's already damaging the size that he is. But if he was the same size as his Fijian counterparts, Jesus Christ, he'd do some damage in some of these games. But yeah, really good. He does have an error in his game, like trying to get that quick play the ball. He does have a fumble in the play the ball every now and then. But really happy that they've locked him up for another 2 years. I'm not sure if you're aware, Arpai, or not, but that means now that we've only got 2 players of our current 30-man squad that aren't signed past this year, and that is Adam Pompey and Bailey Surinen, and the only other one is Tane Tuapiki, who has
a club option, I think.
Yeah, club option for next year. So the club obviously should take that up. But so it shows that we've got some good depth, and it shows that we've got a squad that's going to stay together over a couple of seasons that Webby can really build towards a premiership.
There you go. Well, I didn't know that regarding the last 2, the other players not signed, but appreciate that for sure. Obviously, we're versing the Panthers over there in Brisbane Magic round. So I'm happy to touch on the squad, but if you guys want to as well, feel free to. I suppose in saying that, Roo, over to you. What are your thoughts on the Panthers squad and the fact that, of course, James Fisher-Harris is available for them?
Of course he's back. Of course he's back. I was kind of hoping that he'd just relax and take another week off. Look, even though they've got players missing in their squad, they're still a very dangerous side. As long as Nathan Cleary is in that team, they're dangerous. Their wingers can make, like To'o is just a nuggety little thing, so hard to tackle, and they've got threats all over the park. I would never ever take them lightly. 2 premierships in a row. I know they're coming off 2 losses, but I don't know whether that's good or bad for us, to be honest. But yeah, I'm expecting an extremely tough game.
And your stuff as well, Hammer. What are your thoughts on the squad? And
they are the reigning premiers, and they are 2-time premiers. They've been in 3 grand finals in a row, and you've got to give them the respect and the credit that they deserve. But I really don't think they anticipated how much of a hole the loss of Api Coruscant and Viliami Kikau would be for them this year. And then you add to that they've lost Taylor May for the season. They're now without Isaac Tungo. Spencer Lenio's been out. He's come back. He's coming back through the extended bench this week. And Liam Martin, an Origin player in the back row, who hasn't been available for him as well. Nathan Cleary seems to be under an injury cloud as well. He's not doing the goal kicking. I think he's carrying a bit of a hamstring or groin strain, and he was nearly not going to play last week. I'm glad he did, because it's probably put him under a little bit more pressure and attrition on that injury that he's carrying. As Rob said, you can't dispel them, but I think they're right for the picking. The game against South, they didn't play too good. They lost to the Tigers last week in just an absolute upset of not the season. It's the upset of like the century. The reigning premiers falling to the team that hadn't won a game in 237 games. I think they're right for the picking, and I think we're getting them at a really good time. You won't see them lose 3 games in a row too often, but I reckon we'll see it this weekend.
Yeah, well, look, if any time's the right time, I think it is now. So I absolutely agree with you guys. I will also say as well, like what you mentioned there before, Roo, we respect to them. They're back-to-back premiers, right? But in saying that, yeah, I agree with you, Hammer, as well. There's definitely a chink in the armor there. And I think the way we've been playing, I think we do have the tools and the assets to definitely win and beat them. Because, yeah, that's right. They're missing some key players. You touched on it, right? Korusal, Gikal. It's not the same team. It's not the same Penrith Panthers. And if there's any time, then it is now, in my opinion. So I suppose in saying that as well, we're going to quickly get into it. The Panthers, and I suppose you already touched on it there, Hammer, but I suppose for Roo, where do you see their strengths and where do you see their weaknesses?
Strengths, look, pretty much across the park, although they do have players out, but they go forward. I mean, they get a lot of punch from their outside backs as well, like Sato'o and Crichton and the like. And Taruva's been sensational this year as well. But it's hard to find their weaknesses, but I guess for this game in particular, you would say that they do have a lot of injuries and down on personnel, and that's where we should be cashing in. With the start of the season that we've had and the composure that we have shown throughout the majority of the start of the season so far, that we just play smart and play patient.
Yeah.
I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah, going to be through the comments. Yeah. I suppose, Hammer, the question for you then is, heading into this game in particular in context, Warriors' strengths, weaknesses overall, I suppose.
I think one of our biggest strengths is Sean Johnson. The man this year has had a new lease of life. He's been playing such good footy. Even in beaten sides, he's looked good. He did everything that he could in a beaten side last week to get us, into that game. He did everything he could in the beaten side the week before against the Storm to get us in there. I think he was probably the best player on the field against the Storm. So I think our biggest weakness is the form of Sean Johnson, the form of Adam Fanua-Blake, and Wade Egan around the ruck. And I look at Wade Egan, like he's an ex-Penrith boy himself. And I think when you look at the sides lining up this week, I think, our hooker's going to be much better, much versatile, give us more opportunity than their hooker. I really don't think Mitch Kenny is an 80-minute first grader, and they haven't got Sonny Luke this week. I think he's suspended. So I don't know what they're going to do. I haven't really looked at their bench. I don't know who they've brought in on their bench. Probably Jamin Salmon or someone like that. The weak gutted dog will probably run around at hooker or something like that. But I think the thing with the Warriors is that next man mentality that we've got, that Webby's instilled in the players, and everyone doing their job and backing themselves. I think that's our biggest strength for this game. Yeah.
And I suppose I just want to touch on it too when Roo was explaining the weaknesses. I think you may have touched on it just quickly, but for the Penrith Panthers, obviously I noticed that game against the Tigers. Unfortunately, Tyrone Peachey stuck out like a sore thumb. He was
been at the Tigers too long. Been at the Tigers and the Titans too long.
Yeah, he did.
He stood out like a sore thumb. So if I'm the Warriors, I'm really trying to go through his way, because I thought he was and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but I thought he was the weakest link in their backline there. I thought had he had a good day, Panthers probably don't lose, in my opinion. But I just think they just ran through him there. And I suppose in saying that, what are your thoughts on that, Hammer? Targeting someone like Ty, or even you, Roo, what are your thoughts on that?
I was just going to say, sorry, Hammer. Regardless, I get what you've just said, but Tyrone Peachey in a Panthers jersey has a history of carving us up. I mean, we only need to go back to our last finals game in 2018, where I think he scored a double. He scored a hat trick against us in 2016. Mate, he scores tries against us for fun. So I agree that he's done his time at the Tigers and the Titans there, and he's come back to the team. But he's a man who knows how to score against us. So that does worry me.
No, I'd be targeting him. I'd be targeting him very much so, and I would be targeting Taruva with our kicking game. I think Taruva's the one. Like, he's only a rookie himself. Don't get me wrong; he's been playing some great footy, but I think you'll get more errors out of guys like Taruva and Peachey than you will out of Crichton and To'o. So.
Shorter wingers as well. Both those guys
yes.
are not tall men. So
no,
it's kind of a tactic that they often bring up to use against those kind of guys. But executing it is another matter.
I think the Panthers' biggest strength is Dylan Edwards. So underrated as a player. He's involved in everything, and you watch a guy like Dylan Edwards. Not so much what he's doing with the ball in hand, but you watch where he is. When he doesn't have the ball and where he positions himself in the Panthers attack. He's always in and around the ball. He's always sniffing around the forwards, and that's why he's getting so many tries this season, and he's getting try assists as well. He's always in and around the ball. He's one that our defence is really going to have to watch and lock up.
Absolutely. I suppose in closing this particular segment here, predictions, I guess I'll pick it off first. Look, as much as obviously as dangerous as the Panthers are and all that, I still am backing the boys to pull out something here. I think if we win, it is respectfully an upset probably. So I'm actually leaning toward, I'm going to back the boys there to win. And I suppose, 6-12. But I reckon the Warriors are doing well, and I think they're going to learn a lot from that Roosters game, and they'll be ready for this one here. Everyone talks about the fact that, be wary of the Panthers who have lost 2 in a row. Be aware of the Warriors. Don't you worry. Be aware of the Warriors. So back in the boys.
Like it.
Yeah. Roo, your prediction?
Mate, as I always say, nothing more than a very, very nervous 4-point victory to the Warriors. I won't be pacing around. I'll be pacing around Suncorp Stadium, let's just say. But, look, I think, as you guys have touched on, there's no better time to come up against the Panthers, the wounded Panthers, and it's time to get back in the winners' circle and make a bit of a statement. So I'm going to back us 4 points.
All right.
Yep.
And I have.
If Tohu Harris plays, Warriors by 7. If Tohu doesn't play, Warriors by 1 in Golden Point.
Yep. I like it. All right, guys. So again, the segment here, hard-hitting cues. I've got just about a couple of questions there for you guys to answer. First one here, I think it's a bit trivial. Roo, is it Waz or is it Warriors?
Oh, mate, I'm a traditionalist. It's got to be Warriors. It's just Warriors. It sounds better. Waz is just a bit of modern slang, isn't it? Geez, I'm showing my age, aren't I?
How about your thoughts? Is it Waz or is it Warriors? Is it both?
Mate, it's Warriors. Waz is like the word of the day now. It's this generation of kids coming through that shorten everything down and take the easy option. It's Warriors. It's definitely Warriors.
All right, there you go. You've heard it there, ladies and gentlemen. It is Warriors.
Warriors.
All right, bit of a touchy subject. But I didn't want to sort of talk about it whilst we were reviewing the game because I thought it would probably be better to sort of separate it. And I suppose I'll lead off with you here. I'll start off with you here, Hammer. What are your calls? What are your thoughts on the calls we've had? We can look at the Storm game, but I suppose we unfortunately have to look even more recently as to the Roosters game. What were your thoughts on the calls overall,
mate? Look, it's one of those things. It's funny. I was just going back and listening to some old podcast today, and I was listening to Mark Tukey on Once a Warrior with Monty Beetham, and Mark Tukey was saying that before he came to the Warriors, he always heard the Warriors fans whinging about getting the rough calls off the referees, and it wasn't until he got to the Warriors that he realised that they were right, and that's going back to 2000, 2001, 2002.
Yeah.
Mate, the Melbourne game, there was definitely a hand in that contest from Remus Smith for that Nick Meaney try, and that put the Storm in front. That's a no try. We get the ball, and who knows what happens after that. But yeah, we look at the Roosters game. I touched on it before, where Wade Egan went down with an injured calf, but the tackle from Tupanua at the time hit him flush across the jaw. Nothing was done. You got the shoulder charge from Tupanua, which was a shoulder charge. Nothing was done, and they go and score the very next set. And then you've got things like the Dylan Walker sin binning, which it wasn't a head slam. It was just good contact. It was a strong tackle. He did nothing to promote a head slam with the way he brought the player down. And 10 minutes in the bin kind of changed the course of the game as well. Yeah, mate. Look, it's been something that we've dealt with for years as Warriors supporters. But when you've got other people within the media and supporters of other teams saying that we're getting hard done by it, it's an absolute joke. Absolute joke. I don't know why it happens, and I don't know how it can happen in this day and age when there's so many cameras on the play.
Yeah, no, and I suppose just quickly as well, that's not even to mention the Kiri 40-20. That was out in the full.
Oh.
Sorry, that's me.
They didn't even take a second look at it. That's the thing. They don't even take a second look. They didn't even they have the opportunity with the Remus Smith incident against the Storm. They have the opportunity. If they you've got to be 100% certain. There's no way anyone can look at those 2 or 3 times and go, yeah, he definitely didn't touch that, when there's hands everywhere.
Everywhere.
You got to take a second look at it. Just because he blows the whistle and takes an extra look, it doesn't always mean that it's no try. But it just means you gotta take advantage of the technology and just have a look at it. It's I'm going to wind the clock all the way back to 1995 round 3. It's been happening since then when we lost our bloody points against the Western Suburbs Magpies. Blah blah blah. Yeah.
I guess I will just quickly touch this before I get into another question. But, we see it all the time with this whole heap of hands, trying to grab the ball and it fumbles and all that stuff. And a lot of the time you see the bunker precisely point out who it was that touched the ball. But obviously, and again, I'm not trying to bring up any conspiracy theories here, but whenever it's us, it's the result is, couldn't see it. Remus Smith, didn't knock it on type thing. And yeah, I'm absolutely sick of it. So I suppose I'll just leave it at that.
Low profile team, mate. Low profile team.
Yeah, it's been happening for far too long.
Yeah,
absolutely. I guess speaking of Metcalf, and I suppose this will be the last one before we get to the tips as well as the Magic Round chat. Where does Metcalf fit in all of this? And again, I suppose hypothetically, we've got a healthy squad, right? Everyone's back, ready to rumble. I suppose, Hammer, where do you see Metcalf thinking all of this, or alternatively, does he fit in this at all?
If we've got a fully fit squad and everyone's playing, like Tamari Martin's back and everyone's playing, I don't know where you find a spot for him at the moment, because in a fully fit side you'd have Walker, Tavanga coming off the bench. Tom Arley's done everything to hold his spot there, and then you'd have Bunty going back to the bench as well, I guess. I would like to see Metcalf. I mean, he hasn't played a lot of footy, so I'd like to see him get some meters under his belt, some meters in his legs, playing New South Wales Cup. And I'm assuming he'll be playing New South Wales Cup in the halves with Volkman, because we've got Tuapiki there at fullback. And I think Metcalf was bought as possibly a half anyway, not so much a fullback. It's kind of hard to see where he fits in to this whole picture now. The other thing we could use Metcalf for is as a centre. He's got a skill set where we could possibly use him as a centre if we're not getting what we need out of guys like Montoya, Valea, and Pompey. Long term, I don't know what his role is within the squad, because we've got to remember we've got RTS coming back next year who's going to fill a centre role. So, it's a great problem to have for Webby. I'm sure we saw what he could do in the trials anyway, Metcalf. So I'm sure if he gets his opportunity, he'll be like everyone else that's pulled the jersey on this year, and he'll do his job.
Awesome. And over to you, Roo. What are your thoughts on Metcalf and where does he fit?
I tend to agree. In a fully fit, full strength side, he probably struggles to get a place in there. But I loved what I saw from him in that trial, albeit against the weakened Tigers side. But he's got X factor, he's got speed to burn, and as Hammer said, he's quite versatile. So you'd primarily have him as, I would have him as like a sort of 5'8" option. Backup fullback, if something happens to Chance and Tuapiki, you can slot it at fullback. Centre, I'm not sure. I don't think I won't say he's a slight build, but he's not a huge build. The only thing that would sort of concern me about playing centre is maybe like the defence and that kind of that side of it. But like, mate, he's got the X factor. He's got a passing game, as we know. I'm not real sure about his kicking game, but mate, he's a wonderful backup to have in any of those kind of backline positions. And it'd be really interesting to see how he goes in New South Wales Cup when he does get back on the field.
Yeah. My general thoughts on him is, that's right. He's got an X factor about him, and I'm just happy we have him because he's definitely someone you can build on around and develop. And I'm pretty thankful we have him because he's definitely got the goods. And you imagine in a few years' time, again with RTS probably around that as well, it's quite scary. So I'm very happy. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to walk through this one here. So NRL tips for Magic Round. I want to go by game and just give me your general thoughts. I suppose the same that I'll start off with you first, Hammer. Bulldogs, Raiders, who do you think wins?
I'm going to go Bulldogs, mate. Jacob Kiraz is back. He brings a lot of X factor to the Bulldogs. The Raiders, a little bit hot and cold. I was really impressed with how the Bulldogs played. Jake Averillo showed a good pair of heels on the weekend. I'll go for, I suppose it could be a bit of an upset. I'll go for a bit of an upset and tip the Doggies.
It's a tough one to pick. Like the Bulldogs showed a lot of grit and determination last week to get that win, despite being undermanned. But I think I'll stick with the Raiders. I think they'll maybe just have a little bit too much class for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, look,
Raiders in a close one.
Yeah, I think I want to go with the Raiders here. Again, Jack White, and there's just a lot of things happening there. I mean, it could go against them really, but I think I'll back the Raiders here. Next game here, and I suppose I'll lead off with you, Roo. Sea Eagles versus the Broncos.
Geez, I just can't get a read on the Sea Eagles this year. They are hot and cold, old Seabold Sea Eagles. Seeb's coming up against his old side as well. Might be a little bit spicy. Back at Suncorp as well. Interesting to see what reception he gets there. The Broncos get smacked on the backside with a rainbow, don't they? They have an away game against Manly at Magic Round. The only difference is they go to the other dressing room and they wear their white jersey. But I mean, it's basically a home game for the Broncos. They're playing great this year. They got strike all over the park, and I think they'll be way too strong for the Sea Eagles. I think it could blow out Broncos by 20.
Yep. And Hammer?
Yeah, Jake Trbojevic is a big out for the Sea Eagles. He hasn't been named. Tommy's back, but I still think Tommy's not 100% and he's playing under a bit of an injury cloud. The Broncos, they get both Ezra Mumm and Payne Haas come back in after serving their 1 week suspension. They're going to be massive. I agree with Rob. I think it's going to be a blowout. I can't get a read on the Sea Eagles, and I'd say the Broncos by 24.
Yeah, look, I'm going to have to agree. I believe they versed each other last year as well, and it was a blowout too, Magic Round as well, Broncos, way. So, yeah, Broncos. Sharks against Finns, the battle of the Finns, ironically. Hammer, who do you think wins this?
Oh, mate, the Sharks have just got class all over the park. That Sharks backline is absolutely amazing. Nico Hines is in just a rare vein of form. Can't put a foot wrong. Dale Finucane comes back into this game as well, back from his suspension. The Finns have been good. The Dolphins, that is, have been good, and they've fought really, really hard. And they've got a couple of ends. I think Tessie News back this week for him, which means Robert Jennings won't have to stop before the try line and lie on the ground this week. Mate, I'm gonna pick the Sharks, and I'm gonna pick them by at least 13 plus.
Okay, and Roo?
Yeah. Oh, look, it's hard to go past the Sharks. They're in irresistible form. My good mate, pre-Jack Mulatalo, to get a hat trick as long as he remembers to not put his hand on the sideline before he grounds the ball and doesn't celebrate too early. Yeah, Sharks by plenty.
Yeah. Look, I agree. Sharks mine. I think they'll be too good in the end. We have a bit of a blockbuster here for this. And just I just want you guys to know we skipped over the Warriors game because obviously we already had a prediction there. So we have the blockbuster here for the Saturday night, the Storm against the Rabbitohs. This is a pretty big one. I suppose I'll start off with you, Roo. What are your thoughts on this game?
Oh, geez, it's a tough one to pick. So Storm had the bye last week after playing us. They weren't overly impressive against us. They got the job done. Rabbitohs, they were fantastic last week, I should say, against the Broncos at that ground. I think they're really warming to their task now and really building into something. Latrell in irresistible form, unstoppable at times. I'm going to go with the Rabbitohs by 12.
Yep. Hammer?
Yeah, no changes to that Storm side that played us 2 weeks ago. They've had the luxury of having the bye last week. So for the Rabbits, the only change they've got, Liam Knight comes back into that 17. Davey Moala is the one that misses out. As Rob said, they're red hot at the moment, the Bunnies. Campbell Graham is just playing out of his skin. Cody Walker's playing good. Lachlan Ilias is better for that 1 year under his belt. Latrell, mate, I tip the Rabbits to be the premiers this year, so I'm going to tip them in this. I reckon they'll win, and I reckon they'll do it comfortably too. I reckon they'll get the Storm by about 14 points.
Yep, there you go. And look, for me, Rabbitohs, man, I think they'll be too good. And as Bruce said, they're definitely warming up to task, and I think they've got a few more gears to maneuver. So I think we haven't seen the best of them just yet. Tigers and Dragons, Hammer, your thoughts on this game?
Mate, I don't know what's going on at the Dragons. They're the new basket case of the NRL. Anthony Griffin, he's dumped Zach Lomax back to New South Wales Cup. Michaeli Ravalawa comes back into the side. Max Figo goes into the centres. They got rid of Jacob Little as well. Moses Mbai's going into that hooking role. For the Tigers, Brent Naden's the only change in their side. Tommy Talau comes in. Brent Naden accepted a 3-match ban. I kind of had the thought that once the Tigers got a win, that they might go on a bit of a run. And if they had a loss last week, I still would have tipped the Tigers this week. I've said all along, I thought the Tigers' first win of the season would come against the Dragons at Magic Round. Well, they got it the week before. I'm going to stick with the Tigers, but I think the Tigers will beat them and beat them pretty well. I think they're like 10 or 12 points in this one.
Oh, wow. Well, from going from the Storm, the Rabbitohs, then to the Tigers and the Dragons. I don't know who to pick in this one. I'm gonna stick with the Dragons, but I think it'll be like by 1 point or something. I think this could go to Golden Point, and it's a hard one to pick. As Hammer said, they're the new basket case. The Dragons, they don't want their coach. But they're trapped. They're caught in this like little catch-22 at the moment regarding everything that's going on there behind closed doors. So
when you're saying Golden Point, is it defensively they're both going to be shit? It'll be like 81-80, or will it be like that? Or will it be like the grand final on the weekend between Mounties and the Bulldogs in the Harvey Norman Women's Premiership? There's a 1-0 win to the Mounties. What do you reckon?
Oh, geez, they'll both probably trip over their own feet the whole game. It could very well be something like 9-8 or something like that. So I think it's probably going to be more on that sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
The Benny Hill music in the background.
Look, for me, I actually, believe it or not, I was actually in the same thought as Hammer in the sense that I actually had the Tigers winning in Magic Round, and obviously they won earlier. In saying that, though, I don't know. For some reason, I just think the Dragons will bounce back, in my opinion. So Dragons for me. All right, here we go.
Ooh.
Roosters. Boys, in context, we just got to understand the Cowboys are going through a lot, as we all know. I think that's a bit of an missing a few players and just their form in general. So who do you think wins this one here, Emma?
Oh, mate, Roosters. Yeah, they've got a couple of changes. Momorowski's out, Hutchinson's in. Jared Warrior-Hargraves comes back, which is a big in. He didn't play last week. Cowboys, Jeremiah Nano, he's been suspended for, 5 or 6 weeks, I think. Helam Lukey comes back in. He's a pretty handy replacement. But, mate, I don't know what's going on with the Cowboys this year. They just – it's not the Cowboys of last year, is it? And they're really struggling to find form. And I just think the Roosters, too much class. I think they'll just be too good.
They really are a shadow of their former selves from 2022, and
it's like we've swapped.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's like Hammer and I said, like Hammer and I talk about this a fair bit. It's like we've swapped places with them from last year. Like they're the 2022 Warriors and we're the 2022 Cowboys. If that makes any sense. It's a shame because Toddy Payton, a good friend of ours, and Petahiku and Young Maney and all that up there. But something's really amiss up there. And Chad Townsend, shadow of his former self as well. I'm gonna have to go with the Roosters, and it'll be fairly comfortable. I'm gonna Roosters by 20.
Before you give your tip, can I just ask you? There's a young kid making his debut for the Cowboys on the bench. Do you know what nationality he is, and do you know how to pronounce his name properly?
Give me 2 seconds.
All right.
Give me 2 seconds. All right. And that's for the Cowboys, did you say?
Yeah, number 17. I think it's like Kuli Kefu Finefiwaki or something along those lines, but I don't want to...
Yeah. Kuli Kefu Finefiwaki. Yeah. He's Tongan.
Okay.
I was going to say it sounds
Tongan.
Common.
Okay. Yep. Sweet.
How about Jareem Bula? That's a great name, isn't it? Jareem.
Yeah.
I believe Jareem is Indigenous Fijian.
Yeah, I was going to say it have to be Fijian with Bula. Yeah.
And the last game to close things off, I'll start with Roo. Titans and Eels, who do you think wins?
Titans are another team I cannot get a read on this year. I mean, like when they played Manly last week, they played fantastic, and then the week before they coughed up a huge lead against the Dolphins. Man, and Eels have had a few wins, but before that they hadn't been traveling too well. So this is a really tough one to pick. I think this is going to be a really close game. I'm going to go an upset. I think it's an upset, and I'm going to go the Titans in a close one.
Ooh,
Emma.
Yeah, I agree with Rob. You got the class of guys like Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses and Clint Gutherson who are really carrying that Parramatta side at the moment. But then you got a guy like David Fafita who's turned the corner and he's really doing a lot of the hard stuff that people have wanted him to do. Some hard carries and defensively he's been good, and a guy like Tino as well. I might go. I think I'll go with the Titans as well. I think maybe the Titans just sneak home in this one. I'm
going to go against the grain purely because you guys took the Titans. I think they performed really well last week against the Knights. Granted, I'm not going to take anything away from the Knights or anything like that. They're still a competitive team. They beat us. So, I think heading into this game here, I think I'm going to go in the way of the Eels. So again, the last segment here, Magic Round chat, and I suppose this one here for you guys. Why is Magic Round, I suppose, important for the Warriors, and I suppose for us as Warriors fans? Obviously, being able to meet up, as you guys said as well. And if you wanted to, can you please touch on what's happening if you guys want to as well on Saturday and all that stuff there? But yeah, just why is it important? I suppose with that being said, I'll start off with you, Roo.
Yeah, like I touched on at the start of the show, like it's a real rugby league carnival, and that's what I love most about it. The city's buzzing. In the lead up to it, you see footy jerseys everywhere. Everyone's just in like a sort of a festive mood. And it's important for us. Like it's a perfect opportunity for all Warriors fans. It's a club game, but at the same time, it's a little bit special. So you get people that are travelling, like yourself, mate, travelling from the rugby league heartland of Adelaide to Brisbane. You get people coming over from New Zealand. The Clough stuff, mate. He comes over every year, and it's just great. Like everyone's just in a really good mood, despite how the team's travelling. You just get together and you're united, and there's no better place to do it than the Lord Alfred Hotel this Saturday at 12 p.m. Make sure you're there. If you're anywhere within the vicinity of Brisbane, get there. The LA Hotel at the top of Caxton Street. We've got a private room, so if you're looking for us, make sure you head upstairs to the private venue. Come along, and it's just an awesome afternoon of just good vibes, hanging out with your fellow fans. You get to meet so many Warriors supporters, and people always say, "I didn't know there were so many Warriors supporters around." And you can make friends for life. Come and mingle with some ex-players that we're going to have there, some Warriors legends, and some of the coaching staff and everything. It just adds to what is already, as I said, like a sort of festival atmosphere of rugby league.
Yeah,
awesome. Yourself, Hammer?
Yeah, mate. It's just, coming from Sydney, I travel up. This will be the third Magic round I've been to.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. As Rob said, it's a carnival atmosphere. I was blown away the first year I went, and we did this little event where we maybe had 50 or so people in there. Last year we had over 100, and this year it's going to be even bigger and better. And as Rob said, we've got a private room this year, which is upstairs, so we're not going to be impacted by the noise of that crowd downstairs. It'll be a little bit more intimate. We've got a lot of Warriors content creators that are going to be there. This is a vision of Richie Morgan of Warrior Nation, who's put this together. So, you can, for you guys watching, you can come and meet, Rob and Arpai is going to be there. Warriors NRL Fanatics is going to be there as well. Jared from Warriors Anonymous is going to be there. Plus, we've got the Warriors are sending over a whole heap of their behind-the-scenes staff. They're coming with goodies in hand. There's going to be, we're giving away some Roo Hammee merchandise on the day. Richie Morgan's setting up some Warrior Nation merchandise to give away, and the Warriors are kicking in with some stuff to give away as well, including, from what we believe, a signed jersey that will be given away on the day. So, it's well worth getting there. 12 o'clock start. We finish it up by about 2:30 so everyone can walk the 50 metres down the road. The pilgrimage.
It's the classic pilgrimage. Take it down Caxton Street. You got to do it. Yep. Absolutely.
And then, we last year we were back at the pub because of the rain. We were back at the pub that evening and having a feed and enjoying, the company of Warriors fans. So, yeah, if you're a Warriors fan and you're in Brisbane, even if you don't have tickets to Magic Round itself, there's get to the Lord Alfred Hotel, participate in this event. It's well worth it. And then there's enough stuff going on. There's big screens around Suncorp Stadium on the outer. There's like enough screens throughout the pub that if you don't actually have tickets to the game, you can still watch the game and take in all the atmosphere of what's going on in Brisbane. Really looking forward to it.
For sure. And I guess I'm just going to chime in as well as somebody who was a first timer last year. I will say, and again, purely because I just want to say it, I really like what Roo Hammee did in terms of just being so cordial, again, very hospitable. For me, coming there, not knowing what was really happening, but again, you guys just basically throwing me face first into everything there. And it was actually a really good experience mingling with obviously Warriors staff, Warriors fans, but also seeing you guys go up there and have a yarn as well, seeing the ex-Warriors players that I used to watch when I was a young kid, back in New Zealand, the likes of Kevin Campion, Tookie as well. Just it was good. And just to see them and shake hands with them and get to know them as people, even for a brief moment, was actually a moment I won't forget. So again, I'm just going to back these guys and say it from my own perspective. Get there because it's such a good time and so something that I definitely won't forget. So again, I'm looking forward to Saturday, meeting you guys there and being part again the festivities there, Roo Hammee. So thank you both.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Looking forward to it, mate.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I've got to end this on a bit of a dour note because I did tell you guys it's going to be a tough one. Who am I?
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Lay it on me. Let's
Put
go.
my glasses on for this. Yep, okay.
So this is the closing segment here, ladies and gentlemen. So who am I? I was born on the 29th of the 3rd in 1975 in Auckland, New Zealand. I only played 15 games for the Warriors from 1997 to 1998. My position was wing. Unfortunately, when
Paul Stellati.
Stellati, yeah.
Paul Stellati.
Is it? Yep.
yeah.
It was the 97 to 98. I'm just trying to think who was a winger that featured sort of infrequently in that period. He was a shorter guy. He had plenty of speed, but he wasn't a tall winger. He had sort of like curly reddish sort of hair as well. Scored the odd try. I didn't know he actually went to the Rabbitohs. He went to Rabbitohs in 2000.
But unfortunately, the Rabbitohs got kicked out of the comp that year.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so things couldn't, eventuate there. This was actually easier than the Wade McKinnon one, which I'm
yeah, in your defense, like we have a list of all the Warriors players and their numbers, and I think we even have a list of like how many games they played for the club. So this kind of thing,
we kind of he may remember all the games, but I kind of I'm very up with a lot of the Warrior player numbers. So yeah, you can try and get us, mate.
Yeah, you can try and get us next time. Yeah.
In saying that, though, I suppose before you sort of go, any closing words from you, Roo, and then I'll follow through with Hammer as well. Any sort of departing words before you go?
Oh, mate, just great to be on again with you, mate, and having a chat. And as we've said, like really looking forward to catching up with you and everyone else there on Saturday afternoon. And I'll just reiterate, like if you're anywhere and you're in two minds about coming along, again, even if you don't have tickets, just come along and be part of it. You won't regret it. And we look forward to seeing you and everyone else there on Saturday.
Awesome. And your stuff, Hammer?
Yeah, mate. Similar to what Rob said, mate. I'm just really looking forward to getting up there on Saturday and mingling with all the Warriors fans. Guys like yourself and us. We do what we do for the love of the club and the love of bringing this kind of information and stuff to people. And we're not in it for anything other than just to share our love of Warriors Rugby League. I'm really blown away by how close-knit our Warriors content creator community is. We're always backing each other. We're always, appearing on each other's webcasts and podcasts and really supporting each other. And people will see that in the flesh this Saturday when, we're all there together, talking, mingling, supporting each other, backing each other up. Really looking forward to it. Can't wait to have a drink with you, mate, because it's been 12 months since the last one.
No worries. And saying that again, thank you again, both. Ladies and gentlemen, take it easy. Take care, and we'll see you guys next time. And just remember, hold the ball. See you guys next time.
Cheers.